Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video, and in this one I am showing you how I used a lot of masking to create a nice layered background and then stamped an image onto some acetate as my focal point. So I'm starting off using some clear gesso on my page, which I've given that a good dry, and then I'm using some scribble sticks. So I'm starting off with sky, putting lots and lots of pigment down on the paper. And then peacock, again pressing on really hard to lay down plenty of that colour, and then that looks like magenta. Actually I think it might be fuchsia. Yeah, I'm just kind of overlapping those a little bit, so I'm just getting some colour onto my page, and then I'm going to use a bit of water just to activate that pigment, move it around a little bit on the page, using one of Dina's round brushes to do that. And you can see, because I pressed on really hard, there's lots of pigment there to play with as well, which is really fun. This is a quick way to get some colour onto your background. Really good for taking away actually if you go on holiday, because you can still create those kind of layered acrylic paint type look backgrounds, but without all the mess. So I've kind of smooshed those colours together, and here I'm just adding a bit more pigment on, and then it was quite wet as you can see, so I thought I'd tip it up and let the colours run a bit, and then I left it stood up for a little while and decided I would drip some white acrylic ink down my page as well, because why not? It's already had a drippy look, so I thought I'd make it even more drippy. And then just tipping the excess off, and you can see that's also pulling some of the pigment off the page as well. So then rather than waste that, I just grabbed a tag and just picked a bit of that up on the tag, and it's created a nice sort of pale background there that I can play with. Okay, so then, yeah, that was a Liquitex white acrylic ink. So then I'm going in with the eggplant, or is it blackberry scribble stick, adding some little splatters on the page as well. And then because I've got some of that pigment on my brush, I'm just adding it to the tag that I picked up those bits of colour with as well. Okay, so now I'm using the mask from the Growing Things stencil set, and just using a little bit of turquoise with some white, and I am starting to mask onto my background. So this is one of my favourite techniques. I really love the way this creates that wonderful layered look, that you get the little peaks of what was underneath, but you've also got the detail added over the top. You can create some really lovely detailed pages with lovely layered backgrounds using this technique, and I love to mask these kind of botanical images over my pages as well. I think that's one of my favourite ways to do this. So starting with a light colour first, I'm going to then go in and mask again with a slightly darker colour over the top, which again adds to the layered interest on the page. And because those pigments of the scribble stick are water soluble, they might activate a little bit as well with this paint going over the top, and might start to sort of pop through a bit. So you've also got that slightly unpredictable element to the page as well, which is quite fun. So now I've added in a little bit of peacock and onto my blending tool to make a slightly darker colour, and you can see now I'm adding in more masking in a darker tone, but still working with the same tone that I had before, just going in with that slightly darker one. So the tone on tone is quite a nice way to build those layers too. Now I'm adding in a little bit of lilac, So this is the Mantras stencil, also from Dina, and here I'm using the peacock again, so keeping with the same colours and the same tones, but this is not watered down at all, so that's creating that slightly darker element. So this is one of my favourite stamp sets. It's called Make Things Happen, and I'm here just stamping it onto some acetate, transparency, but you just have to be a little bit careful stamping onto there, because obviously it's quite slidey, and so your image can smudge if you're not careful. I am drying it really gently as well. I've got my heat tool on quite a low setting so that I'm not going to buckle the transparency. Cutting it out, and then I'm going to stick that onto my page using some of Dina's ultra thick gel medium. So here I'm just using some of the word stamps from the same stamp set, and I'm using a tone of ink that I've already got on my page. I'm just stamping a few more words on there. So again, just building up those layers on that page too. Adding a few details onto the face, so just a little bit of blush on the cheeks and the whites of the eyes. And that white pen is just a Signo Uniball. And then here I'm using some of the transparency from one of Dina's pattern play packs. I think this is the first one. Just cutting out 3 shapes that I'm going to add onto my page. So now I'm just using a text stamp, and I'm just adding some stamping underneath where these pieces of transparency are going to go. Again, just building up those layers. And it's just kind of breaking up that page as well. So I've got those 3 elements there. Then I'm using some ultra thick gel medium to stick those in place. And then I'm going in with a large white Posca pen and just adding some mark making by doing some dots. So I wrote this quote out with a finer Posca pen first, and now I'm going back in and using a thicker one just to make that stand out a little bit more. There were a lot of words to fit into that small space, and it does make the page look really busy. But oftentimes I'm more concerned about the reason that I'm journaling and why I'm doing it, not always the end product that I'm finished up with. The process and the reason behind it is just as important for me, sometimes if not more. So even though this page is busy, the fact that I'd kind of had that time to spend in my art space, creating this journal page with all these layers, going through the whole process, and ending up with this page which is really quite busy. I wasn't really that bothered that it wasn't calm. It has no white space in it, but I don't care. I like it. So I've got that quote added on there, and then I felt I just wanted to push that away a little bit. So then I'm going back over the top with a Signo Uniball in white and just writing over those letters, and it just has the effect of pushing that into the background a little bit more, making it a bit less of a focal point. So that's it. That's this page. Lots and lots and lots of layers and different processes gone through to end up with a page with so many different layers to it. But I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I hope you found some inspiration here. And if you've not tried using masking to create a background, give it a go, because I think you'll love it. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.